Leon Halden returned to the same mountain after 3 years. He thought he might still see his old footprints beneath the snow, but the wind had erased them all. The mountain was silent, just like him. Nature never truly forgot, it simply silenced what it remembered. And Leon had become one of those silenced things. The wooden disc around his neck was old, yet somehow still warm. The inscription, "For those who listened," was almost invisible now, but his fingertips still knew where the letters were. He ran his thumb across them the way a man might touch a wound that healed wrong, gentle, cautious, remembering. He hadn't spoken to anyone in years. Silence had become a kind of second language. Once they called him White Shadow, because he was both invisible and unstoppable, a ghost with a rifle. But that name didn't belong to him anymore. It was only an echo now. Deep inside the mountain lay the old outpost. Frozen doors, rusted cables, snow drifting through cracks in the ceiling, everything surrendered to time. When Leon entered, the air didn't stir dust, it stirred memory. Each breath sounded like someone he once knew. He placed the wooden disc on the console. Long ago, the screen there had read, Echo_01. Now it simply said, Stand by. He thought of the men and women he'd lost, the silver eyes. Their voices filled the room again, not through words, but through silence. I'm here, Leon whispered. His voice didn't echo. The mountain was listening. His old commander, Cade, had once told him, If you ever come back, you won't know what you're looking for. Leon understood now. Coming back wasn't about finding a place, it was about hearing yourself again. He laid his hand over the old radio. The metal was cold but familiar beneath his fingers. Then he spoke softly. Echo 2, this is White Shadow. Mission complete. No reply came. But beneath the snow, a faint sound rose, like someone breathing through ice. It was Cade's voice. The wind heard you, Leon. Welcome home. Leon's eyes filled. He never cried in war, but now he did, because the war was over, and its echo remained. The mountain was keeping that echo safe. And that's when he understood, silence wasn't death, it was memory. Some names live loud. Others live in whispers. His would be the latter. Outside, engines hummed in the distance, helicopters, coming closer. Leon took a deep breath. You're late, he said with a small smile. I've already returned. He pressed the disc against his chest. Behind him, the wind began to move. Snow swirled, tracing shapes in the air. Along the ridge, the storm formed the faint silhouette of an owl, wings open, eyes calm. Leon bowed his head. My duty's done, he said quietly. Now silence will speak. And in that moment, the wind stopped. The mountain inhaled. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere, a radio signal came alive, faint, steady, eternal. Cade's voice, from the static. White Shadow, we hear you. Leon smiled. And I hear you. Then silence covered everything. But this time, it wasn't frightening. Silence wasn't an ending. It was where truth finally took its breath. And in that silence, Leon's final words drifted away with the wind. Silence isn't the end. It's what remains when everything true has spoken. Years passed. The war turned into stories, the stories into silence. The mountain stood the same, patient, unchanging, as if guarding something sacred beneath its frost. A group of recruits arrived for winter survival training. Among them was a young sniper named Elias Kane. He was different, quiet, pale-skinned, with white lashes that caught the light like fine threads. His squad called him Ghost Boy behind his back. Some laughed at him, some pitied him. He didn't react. He carried his rifle like it was part of his spine, and he spoke only when necessary. On the third day of training, a blizzard rolled over the ridge. The unit got separated. GPS signals went dead, radios filled with nothing but static. Elias found himself alone in a maze of white and shadow. He walked until his knees gave out. The snow swallowed the sound of his breath. He was about to close his eyes when something sharp struck his palm, a piece of wood, cold, and carved. He brushed the ice away. It was a small wooden disc, hanging from a chain blackened by age. The carving read, "For those who listened and answered." He turned it over and saw a faint mark burned into the back, an owl, its wings outstretched. Elias didn't understand why, but he pressed it to his chest. And then, a sound. Not a voice, not the wind, something between the two. A whisper inside the silence. "North. Follow the quiet." He stood, turned his body toward where the wind had stopped moving, and walked. Step by step, he followed nothing but instinct, the kind of silence that has a direction. After an hour, he reached a rise. The storm thinned. Before him stretched a frozen basin, wide as a lake, carved by time. From above, it would have looked like an enormous owl imprinted into the snow, wings wide, eyes hollowed, watching. In the very center stood a rusted rifle, upright, half buried, its barrel catching the faint glow of dawn. Elias approached. Around the rifle's neck hung another chain, thinner, newer. It held a feather, metal and white. When he touched it, it left a faint shimmer on his fingers, like powdered frost. Elias whispered, "Who are you?" The air didn't answer, but the wind stirred slightly, a soft draft, circling him once before fading. He closed his eyes and, without thinking, saluted. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full, like a note held too long, vibrating in the bones. When the rescue team found him hours later, they said they'd tracked a faint heat signature, though the storm should have erased it. They found him kneeling beside the rifle, the wooden disc hanging around his neck. He didn't say much after that. Only one thing, when the captain asked him how he'd survived without a compass, without comms, without warmth. Elias looked down at the disc, then up at the gray sky. "I listened," he said. "That's all." That spring, he had the feather made into an emblem on his rifle stock. No motto, no initials, just a single engraving. "White Shadow lives in the quiet." And when he took aim for the first time under clear skies, the wind shifted, gentle but deliberate, as if the mountain itself was breathing again. Somewhere, in the silence between shots, an old voice echoed one last time. "Silence isn't the end. It's what remains when everything true has spoken." Spring came late that year. The snow melted slow, as if afraid of what lay beneath it. The valley that once swallowed screams now only echoed birdsong and wind. At the edge of that valley, a team of engineers raised a new antenna, tall, sleek, silent. It wasn't for war. It was built to study atmospheric resonance, or at least that's what the reports said. But the old ones knew better. Every technician that stood there felt the same strange hum, as though the metal itself remembered something. Elias Kane, now older, watched the installation from the ridge. Around his neck, the wooden disc still hung, the carving worn almost smooth from years of touch. He hadn't taken it off once. That night, as the antenna came online, a pulse rippled through the valley, subtle, soft, like a heartbeat too faint to measure. The monitors flickered. Every device within range froze for a second. Signal detected, echo_05. Elias leaned closer to the screen. The frequency wasn't military, wasn't natural, it was familiar. He typed a manual command. The speaker's hiss was static, then silence. Then, a voice. Calm, old, and impossibly steady. "Elias, do you hear me?" He froze. His breath stopped. "Leon?" The mountain listened still. "The signal isn't mine anymore, it's ours." The monitors pulsed in rhythm with the sound. No image appeared. Just the voice, wrapped in static and memory. "You kept the silence alive. Now let it rest." Elias swallowed hard. "Are you alive?" There was a pause. A long one. So long it felt like the mountain itself was waiting. "Alive is a loud word," the voice finally said. "I prefer quiet." Then, faint laughter, a kind that didn't belong to the dead or the living. "When the world gets too loud again, you'll know where to listen." The transmission faded. The screens went dark. Elias removed his headset slowly, tears warming his cold face. He stepped outside. The sky above was full of silver light. The wind was calm, but he could swear it was breathing. He took the disc from his neck, kissed it once, and placed it into the snow. The owl carved on it caught the last trace of moonlight before the clouds covered it again. "Rest easy, White Shadow," he whispered. "We're listening." And as the first drops of thawed snow began to fall, the mountain sighed, a deep, low murmur, like the earth remembering a promise. Somewhere in that endless quiet, a signal pulsed once more. Echo_06, transmission continues. Then nothing. Only silence. Only what remains when truth has spoken.